Let's face it, Canadian TV has a diversity problem. Now, I didn't grow up seeing enough representation on TV, and neither did our next guests. But they are helping to change that, both behind and in front of the camera. Please welcome the star of Diggstown, Vanessa Antoine, and showrunner Floyd Kane, along with our own pop culture expert, Kathleen Newman-bremang. Now, before we jump into BIPOC representation for our viewers, I would love to know a little bit more about Diggstown. For the folks who haven't, the two people who have not seen the show.
So Diggstown follows Marcy Diggs, who I play. She's a Nova Scotian lawyer, and her colleagues as they sort of navigate through the legal system through the lens of legal aid, really.
Okay. So, Vanessa, I'll stick with you for this one. We are seemingly decades behind in Black and BIPOC representation on TV screens. So why do you think that is?
Really, it's really about the people that are behind the scenes and the people that are creating the shows and the people that have the power to say yes or no. I think that we have to start being really honest about that. And I think that it's changing.
Okay, so Floyd, you are you're an anomaly as a Black showrunner. So not only on screen, but people of color are scarce behind the camera as well. Any guesses on why that's happening in Canada versus the UK or the United States, Floyd?
Well, I think that primarily the reason it's happening is because we haven't had an industry that's being diverse. It's not even that we're catching up with the UK, because I think the UK is in the same boat. But I think we're in a situation where it's like the people who hold the keys to the kingdom have not been diverse, and so I think what happens in our industry is people go to their friends first when they're looking to hire, because of course the behind the scenes, as you know, Tracy, the teams behind the scenes tend to move along as groups. So whoever your DP is, they end up hiring the camera people, they end up hiring the grips and the lighting. So everybody kind of you've got a group of people moving from one show to the next. And if the person who's at the head of that team is not a person who's diverse, then the likelihood of having that person hire somebody who's different from them or doesn't look like them tends to be slim to none. And that's really it. And so really where we have to get to is a place where the people who are the heads of the departments behind the scenes start going, okay, you know what? I've got to hire a third person in the department, and these people have equal qualifications. I'm going to hire this person, right? As opposed to my son's best friend.
Do you think Canadian broadcasters should be held accountable? And any ideas on how this can be done?
Yeah, Tracy, they absolutely should be. You know, we are in a country that prides itself on multiculturalism, but as I have been writing about for years, as Floyd and Vanessa said, as my peers and predecessors have been pointing out for years, that scripted television industry in this country largely does not reflect that diversity. As far as accountability, I think that the racial reckoning of the past year has been a start. You know, people are finally starting to call out specific broadcasters and point out their stats. How many Black or Indigenous people are executive producers, vice presidents, the ones making the decisions to greenlight shows? How many people of color are in senior roles behind the camera, as Floyd mentions? I want names, I want numbers, because that's when the glaring truth sets in that an overwhelming majority executives in this country are white. And aside from APTM, that's really the truth, is that the major networks in this country are run by white people. And that trickled down to what we see on screen. Canadian broadcasters are not being as transparent as they should be, including the one that we're talking on right now, because they're getting away with it.
Okay, she wants names. Very interesting. When it comes to accountability, like that's sort of what it takes, right? To check those lists and actually make sure action is happening. So, Vanessa, what more needs to be done to ensure that there continues to be more series like Diggstown and rules created by and about Black Canadians in the future?
I think that a lot is actually being done. I don't know if we actually have to do too much more, to be honest. I'm going to speak on the other side here. I think that the movement is happening, whether people like it or not. I think that there have been creatives happening and creating for a very long time. I think that if a television show or a network wants to stay relevant and be part of the movement, they're going to either have to join the party or sort of step aside at this point. I really think that it is shifting. I think it's about to happen. We're not seeing it reflected in the television shows that we are airing right now. But I just feel like coming down the pipeline, either you have to join the party and step up, start hiring behind the scenes, start actually taking a look at what's really going on with you and what kind of stories you want to tell.
Before you all go, I want to talk about Diggstown Season 3. It's about to begin. That is awesome. That is a celebration for all of us here. What are the stories and ideas that you are most excited to explore this season? And I'll throw this one to Floyd.
I think right out of the gate, we're doing a story about COVID and looking at COVID through the lens of, the debacle that was the long-term care homes in the first episode. And like with all of our stories, we always come at it from a personal angle. So I feel like I'm really excited about that. We have a story that we're doing about the governmental policy around birth alerts that impacts Black and Indigenous women disproportionately. And, we're doing a same-sex sexual assault case and looking at how law enforcement deals with sexual assault when it comes to same-sex survivors. So those are the stories that I'm most excited about in terms of sharing those with our viewing audience.
Meaty subjects. This is going to be fantastic for everyone. So thank you for repping. Thank you to Vanessa. Thank you, Floyd. Thank you, Kathleen. Catch the Season 3 premiere of Diggstown this Wednesday, October 6th at 9 p.m. on CBC and, of course, streaming on CBC Gem.